Hello and welcome everyone to I didn't update the number, the 31st episode of our D&D 5e campaign titled Roaches. Today's recap will be once again done by Lodwick.
Hello and good evening. So, last time we saw our heroes. Um, Sauron came into the room where we found Mel and Arahant, and was brought up to speed on what happened uh, with Captain Greygleam, the murderer, the assassin, Boris that went after it, and so forth and so on. So after bringing him up to speed, they leave the barracks to go look after Boris, but cannot find him. Deciding to do a smart thing, they go to a guard and ask if he or she saw a snow owl-like person flying through the air. The guard had to do some research, but found out that uh, a creature closely resembling this description was seen falling out of the sky and crashing into a building. The group goes, or the party goes to the aforementioned building and are greeted by Dragonborn, who was not all too happy because in his fall through the roof, Boris broke some kind of metal web. Some investigation showed the party that the metal structure on the roof was connected with wires, went down into the basement, and seemingly was made to collect lightning, like a lightning rod, but instead of channeling the electricity towards the earth, as a normal lightning rod should do, uh, it was transferred to some kind of a device in which they accumulated the energy produced from the lightning um, with the intent to releasing it as one focused source of energy, a kind of a powerful beam, if you want. And the reason behind that was that they wanted to try to open a geode by melting its stony material. Mel, who has a javelin, who recently procured a javelin of lightning, um, said, "Well, I have an artifact that can do something similar," and tried it out on the geode, though without much of a success. While all this was happening, Sauron took Arahant aside for a few moments, and they had a discussion about visions and prophetic dreams. And through that conversation, revealed several bits of Sauron's past. And Sauron asked Arahant if Arahant was willing, if he could help him sort out and make sense of everything that happened. As apparently Sauron was on a ship, and the other moment he was sure that he died, and now he's alive, and things like that. So Arahant uh, has agreed to that, eh, as far as his knowledge will allow him to help him in that endeavor. Deciding that party or that part of the journey done, and being able to negotiate the release of Boris, that was, by the way, captured, and I think they were about to sacrifice him, I think, or torture him, something like that. Not a pleasant fate. Um, but they managed to get him back, and they returned to the barracks where where the elite guards were recovering. Whilst in front of the same barracks stood a large angel with the head of a golden lion and a big flaming sword in his hand. The angel is revealed as one of the figureheads of the 5 districts, most and more precisely the church district. And he also reveals that several figureheads amongst the 5 districts were targeted by assassins. Assassins that were both very well organized and very well prepared because they were outfitted with several magical items that made their task easier depending on the victim. For example, the assassin that went after the Etin, and I suppose should it would be, what's his name again?
Cliff.
Yes, Cliff. Was armed with a giant slave sword, and Etins being considered giant kin, so that would give them or the assassin an edge. The one who went after the bishop and after the dwarf Rosie Stier, they had robes of silence, probably aiding them.
I
Yes.
think it was Scrolls of Silence.
What of silence? Robe?
Scrolls. Like a spell scroll to cast silence with.
Ah, scrolls. Scrolls of silence. Okay. Being trying to negate the fact that they were both able to do some spell casting. The one that went after the dragon had several potions that made him resistant or maybe immune that I was not sure of against lightning. And finally, the one that went after Captain Jetilla Greygleam in the barracks had cold iron dust with him or her, because they are Eladrin and Fae, and Eladrin and Fae are very vulnerable to cold iron in all its forms. The angel also disclosed that all their victims were afflicted by the same wound, a wound with poison and a wound with and in that wound there were also microscopic mites, and that those people were not dead but dying, because the insidious effect of that waste poison, as it is called, tugs the soul of the victim towards the home plane of the demons. The angel then offers the party to take them to a gathering place where they meet some of the victims, including the bishop that is now ghost-like. And there we ended session 30. So I hand the things, the reins back to you, DM.
Yes, and you now stand before what remains of the 5 leaders. Now reduced to 4 or 3, depending on how you look at it. I guess it's not even all of the remaining ones, because Rosie isn't even in this room. But yes, and on the 2 people who were wounded but survived, you really don't see much of an open wound. It's just a glancing cut or some scratches on the Drake and the Aten, but each is just pitch black, and like if you were to really concentrate on it, you would notice it slowly growing, just microscopic step by microscopic step.
So the Yetin and the dragon.
Yes.
Hmm. Well, is there any way to cure or reverse this affliction on these people?
Well, there is, but it requires one very hard to find ingredient. Cause without it, I can only slow the process down, but you would need some waste blood.
And how do we obtain that?
Well, as the name implies, it is basically the blood or the lifeblood that's hidden deep underneath the soil of the demonic wastes.
Mm. That's a bit of a pickle there.
The idea behind it is that the soul is drawn away because it is basically infected by a part of the demonic wastes, and it's like therefore drawn to its origin. And then if we take a part out of it and bind the soul to it in this plane, then the soul would stay here.
So you're proposing that someone would have to go to this realm or some aspect of it to be able to obtain that waste blood.
Yes.
Mm.
Well, I have never visited those planes, but if it's a plane of demons, I figure it's not a pleasant place, at least not for us mortal beings.
I can tell you they are not very welcoming.
I mean, what's the environment like, much less the denizens of it? If you say the very ground has the possibility of drawing people's souls into it.
Say a lot of it's just flat terrain of ash with some dunes in it, but there are some swamps and forests and the like in there, and they tend to slowly move across the terrain, making it near impossible to make an actual map.
Are there any environmental hazards? Any poisonous air? Any precautions to take in that avenue?
Not generally, but there can. So the air is not poisonous everywhere, but poisonous plants and creatures are relatively common. Poison and fire are some of the favorite ways of demons to fight their foes.
Yeah, I expected the fire part of things.
Well, unfortunately, um, through my connection with the great catfish of wisdom, I can protect us from evil, from both nefarious and more celestial things, but unfortunately not against poison and disease. I do have something that can cure them and that can detect them, but not protect us against it.
Did you have any groups in mind that you want to dispatch for the quest? Because it seems like quite a lot of influential people have their lives on the line, and they probably have some decent troops to send.
Well, they do, but we would first need to acquire some way to travel to the demonic wastes. Obviously, or the easiest, but also a very long way down there would be through the portal at the South Pole.
At the South Pole.
At the
Where is
South
it?
Pole.
Is the South Pole like common knowledge to people in this world?
Um, Relatively, like it's known that if there are like big demonic invasions, they always come from the south up. They always somehow bridge over the water from the Southern Ocean.
Okay.
And also, if you have any nautical experience, you know that the islands there are best to be avoided because they are only really filled with demon worshippers.
I just wanted to ask because I have quite a lot of experience in this. How's the South Pole looking so I can describe it to them?
Um, Basically, the South Pole is it is cold, but not as cold as our South Pole. It's like usually, I don't know, maybe minus 10 degrees Celsius, like somewhere in that area. But if you actually go onto like the main landmass at the pole, all the ice and snow there has a deep black color from basically just being mixed with ash and soot.
Hmm.
So you cannot see through any ice there at all. It is almost like it's just like looking at dirt.
And this dirt, ash, and soot is in permafrost, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So if it becomes even a little bit warmer, it becomes basically a very cold and very thick swamp that is very hard to traverse.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I say to the teammates.
Also, in
Okay.
terms of danger level, it is not really guarded at all. But it's the place it's a place from which demons can enter this world, so you may have to expect demons. But it's not like they actively put up guards or anything.
Well, plus it's a very big amount of land to fight our way through, be it fight against the demons or fight against the nature itself.
Yes.
Its best guarding mechanism, its size and difficulty to go deep in.
Yeah.
Any alternatives? Such voyage may take months, and I'm not sure we have them.
The or the I don't know if it'd
You
be
go
common.
first.
Well, I was gonna say the Drake, or I guess I should say dragon. With the reveal that we know. Well, no, we see him now as a Drake, don't we?
Yes.
Okay.
As a furry wingless drake with goat horns.
Yeah. You spoke of means to send us to another plane for the task you wanted us to do. Would you have the means to transport us to a demon plane?
Well, my means to send you to the realm of dusk would involve the Queen of Shadows. I could. I'm pretty sure I could make a or create a connection to the demonic wastes. Though I'm not sure how long I could keep it up to get you back.
No, that's the crux of it.
I could
So we
get
might be trapped in there.
I could get some some of my wizards to begin conjuring up or working on a spell formula.
Mm.
How long do we have before that potion takes its full effect?
I can.
Because time would be of the essence in that case, and I do not know if we would have enough time to let your wizards. I'm sure they are very competent, but to spend a lot of time trying to come up with such formula.
To get. Like I said, I can slow it down. You should have about 2 weeks.
Okay. Do you have some sort of receptacle or something to gather that waste blood in? It's not going to be volatile to us.
That should not be the issue. I should have something to store these in.
guess otherwise it's any sort of prep work that we want to do to best ensure our ability to accomplish the task. Oh, Aron, you had that thing you wanted to show these two.
Yes. It was something that, according to our fellow companion Salron, fell out of the pockets from a person that belonged to the church district, because he had priestly attires, or he wore priestly attires, but it's some kind of a mask that has the form of a face, and Arahant pulls out the face and shows it to both the angel, the bishop, the drake, everyone who can see it, and he tells them, I do not suggest putting it on, for I speak from experience that, well, your face transforms into that of a mustached man, and although it's ideal to start, let's say, spy on others from that conclave or cabal, but would you recognize this face, or at least that kind of mask?
Yes.
Who says that?
All four.
All four, okay. In unison. Yes. Go. Yes. Yes. Of course.
Yeah, and they look all at you at the same time too.
Mhm.
And you kinda see that their faces are kinda similar.
Oh no. And Arahant has again a bout of madness.
Yeah, and the funniest thing is that you are the only one who sees this.
Are we playing D&D, or are we actually playing Call of Cthulhu in disguise?
but um, each of them basically says that that is the face of the, let's call it, liaison, who approached them to try and strike some sort of deal with them.
Mm.
Mhm.
Well, considering the current circumstances, there might be another deal offered now, since the cult put you in the very desperate position. So I would expect to see this face on someone again soon.
Well, um, I guess each at least Cliff and the Drake will also admit to having accepted some of the deals, or basically have like made some trades with the man, not knowing who they really were, and say that they bought some very exotic hides from Cliff and some spell books and scrolls from Joltmore.
That's interesting. Is that a purchase just to deceive you, or are they being resourceful and actually making something?
That would be the question.
Also, since the influence on the city from a cult is being diminished by our efforts, all this scenario right now seems like a last resort tactic to put the leaders in this position and try to cultivate anarchy in the city by beheading the leadership. I think that if we will be gone to for this cure to the demon dimension, I would also expect somewhat of a final stand from occult members. Because if there is an opportunity to have an all-out attack, you are the most vulnerable right now, and you really can't afford being divided by the forces of Akishigal. If you want to win this and maintain the control of the city and the civilization here, you will probably need to unite.
I think you are correct. Then I guess we then have to also send a messenger to the Chain Whirlers and the Shadow Blades. Though the
Also, if we might ask, can you actually arm us against the demons? Since you probably have enough weapons and equipment to tackle such foe, maybe you can help us in this.
what kind of arms are you requiring?
Does Sauron knows about the silver thing?
Sauron does know about the silver thing, but I don't think anyone here really uses non-magical weapons anyway.
Oh,
And there's only
okay.
some demons even really vulnerable to silver. I think it's only really the shape-changing demons, if I remember correctly.
So we need
I'd say more
more
of the
specifically, we need the magic weapons and
You kind of have that already.
well,
So if
I
they have
don't.
like
Well,
Yeah.
you also don't use weapons much, do you?
I would like to have a weapon of a final chance if it comes to that. Something of a magic sickle would help.
Mel just hands you a magic dagger.
Oh
What
yeah,
kind of a dagger?
Let me look at it. I don't remember. It's been a long time.
the you mean the dagger from the carnival, right?
Yeah, I think it's just a +1.
Yeah, it's basically a +1. Yes, yes.
Oh, all right. Thanks. Can you describe it a little?
I don't remember what it looked like. I got it so long ago.
Um, it is an old fancy dagger that it used to be more weighted for throwing, though due to its quality, it's also perfectly usable for fighting. Um, there are some engravings in it, mostly like decorative floral patterns. Maybe if you knew a lot about weapons, you could actually know what race or what civilization uh, created this weapon. But
Might I roll history?
yes. Uh, no, at least it doesn't look like the handiwork of any of the, let's say, major races whose handiwork you would know. Um, and in terms of what the party knows in terms of its history, basically it was the main prize for a dagger throwing contest or a dagger throwing game that was supposed to be very hard and done by a traveling circus.
Yeah, that Mel
Oh,
one.
so it is a legit weapon of final chance. Thank you. I will try to attune to it as soon as I can.
Anything that'll help you.
It's a +1 weapon, you don't need to attune it.
If
You
it's
can just use it.
if it's I mean, if it's explained by some sort of magic, then I do. But if no, then no.
No, magic items only have they requiring attunement. That's like a special trait that some magic items have. It's not a thing of all magic items.
I see.
Like here, these black and white daggers say they require attunement, while a normal +1 dagger just says it's an uncommon magic item.
All right.
But more in the lines of defensive measures would probably help us more. You say that fire and poison are going to be pretty common there. You have any means to defend against that?
I can protect one of us against demons in general, making them or making it so that they they have a tougher time trying to hurt us or hit us. But I can only do it with one person, unfortunately. And I have to concentrate on that spell, so I can only give it and or grant it to one person.
Yeah, so
I
fire resist and poison and antitoxin.
oh fuck, absorb elements doesn't even work against poison. Is there a thing that works against poison? A spell that I could just put into an amulet or something that works against poison?
Probably like resist disease and poison.
Oh, it's that easy? No, there's not. I mean, you
Or
could.
protection from poison.
Yeah, protect from poison, that's how it's called.
And for me, doesn't tieflings have natural resistance towards poison?
No, only towards fire, I
No,
think.
no, no, no. Towards fire. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's dwarves that have a natural resistance to poison.
Okay, let's see what we can scrounge together in terms of anti-poison measures. They say that and then they send someone out. It will probably take like hours for them to scrounge together the magical items.
Poison, fire, anything to help our endeavors.
I think I
Not
don't
getting
need I don't need fire resistance since I'm a tiefling, but poison would be appreciated.
But other people might need fire resistance.
no. The only thing I'm
Yeah,
resistant to is force because of my jelly
because
plate.
you are puny you umis.
Yes, they very much are.
Well, let me check first. Well, I could after finish my rest I started, I could pray to the great catfish of wisdom and ask him if he could grant me some power to help protect us against poison.
Yeah.
That's an ability or a spell I can cast if I ask for it,
Well,
requiring
doesn't
no concentration, and I can cast it on multiple persons. It would last for an hour, unfortunately, after which I would have to recast it. But if you would be poisoned, the poison would be immediately neutralized and you would be cured from it. And for the rest of the duration, it would be very hard to become poisoned or being affected by poison, as well as having quite some resistance against it.
Also, because they need to
honestly, I think
look around for the items, and we have a couple of hours. I can do my ritual to send the antler hand, as I told you.
well,
Since it takes about an hour, I can perform it, and we can take a look what will happen.
well, Aron, are you able to do protection from evil and good?
Yes, I can.
Because I feel like that'll probably get more value, just because it would give you just a most often the poison that we're going to be getting is by them attacking us, and so if they don't hit to begin with.
Well, that's what I said. I can protect one of us against or giving them a better protection against demonic forces but unfortunately, it's only limited to one person.
No. That's unfortunate.
Some
Boris
spells
isn't
can
with
be
us. 'Cause that would have been
upcast if I
perfect.
use more energy, but this one, um, and in that my teacher, Magister Glenmere, was quite clear. That one cannot be upcasted, so
No.
and it would require my concentration. It also lasts an hour.
Yeah, I mean, if it's your concentration, it probably just makes the most sense to put it on yourself.
Although I have to say that um,
Because
our
I think
mechanic,
natively you're also the squishiest.
well, uh, I do have to say that our mechanical friend, Turbot, did granted or gifted me with or enhanced my robes, my wizard robes, making it able that I have a better chance to remain or to keep my concentration on my spells.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and that's your choice. Who you think is going to get smacked more often for that? To...
Also, don't forget that you have a statuette of the six, and you probably may use some effects that it provides.
Yeah, it sucks we don't have a front line now with Boris just fluttering away.
Well, my apologies that if I'm an academic.
Ironically, I'm the front line as far as like bulk. I'm probably the strongest in our party now too, which is also funny with my 10 strength.
Well, Arahant has also 10 strength.
Okay, I didn't know if you took the took the negative.
No. No. We rolled for our stats, and the lowest I had was a 7, and that went into charisma.
Ah, okay.
So my
Well,
charisma is
I have
-2.
I have 10 strengths too.
Okay. None of you made it a dump stat, which is surprising.
But charisma is my dumb stat, but not strength, because taking in account that he has a wizard staff that can be counted as a quarter staff to at least do some damage with it.
No.
And also the -2 in charisma was to have him in an impairment about or an impediment on persuasion, fitting in the Cassandra team, the one who foresees everything but is never believed.
No. See, my low charisma is just for me being a grumpy old man.
But on the other hand, my intelligence is maxed out, so I'm very smart. At least Arahant is very smart. No, Arahant says that I'm very smart with with some kind of pride in his voice. Ooh. I was studied by my teacher, a high elf, a high elven wizard, has been very strict and was a strict disciplinarian and cultivated my intellect. But I digress. My apologies.
Mm.
I do have some wisdom also, apparently.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think what all other prep work we can do. Because we ain't jumping in that dimension right now. I'll tell you that.
Yes. Well,
Yeah, as I say, the Arahant the thing we wanted to do, for me to perform the ritual and for you to observe and try to catch any sense of it. We can do it now, we have enough time.
Okay. It seems that we don't have other things to do for the moment. Seeing that they are fetching us some items, and it will take some time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I assume we're looking to get a long rest before we do this, where we're full stocked on stuff and then going in there. At
Well,
the very
we
least.
started a long rest, but after 6 hours, uh, Captain Grey Gleam was stabbed by the assassin, so our rest was interrupted.
No.
But I would appreciate it because not only am I low on health, but Anhand has been walking for now a day and 2 days even, because the night before he had a rough night because of some alcohol. But his arcane energies are quite depleted. He still has some, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
so if you want to proceed, Salron, with your ritual.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot to unmute my mic. Yeah, we step to the side and I sit down on the ground. Yeah.
Before you do your ritual, if I remember correctly, the leader of the chain whirlers promised to you to look for that, or to also give you that chain link you were looking for.
Yeah, for my fruits that I agreed with her to exchange for the future wine endeavors.
And as there have been messengers sent out to them, uh, she will also show up, and knowing that you guys are also here, she will bring said chain link with her.
Oh, really?
Yes.
What is
Alright,
it?
then I will approach her and say, "Hello, I know it's not the best time to make deals, but are you here to see me?"
Among other things,
Alright, then how may I help you, or
I think you see that I have what you wanted, and I assume you still have what I want.
yes, I held on to them.
Then I don't think there's anything standing in the way of a mutually beneficial exchange.
I take out the promised bottle of wine and show it to her.
Mm. Yes. It looks right. It can, and even closed, even corked, it still smells right. Yes.
I mean, I basically took it from the dying hands of evil spirits, so it's as authentic as they come.
Are you doing this out in the open, just in front of everybody?
No, I told like everyone that I stepped to the side to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Doing your wheeling and dealing right there
Um,
with your demon wand.
the chain link. She basically holds it out to you. The the metal, instead of that typical, metallic coldness that one might feel touching a metal object, it is warm and its surface is also very rough compared to normal metal. And it just seems to be emanating some heat from its core.
Um, I'm sorry. Might you tell me why this one is so special?
Well, out of all of them that exist, um, there are a lot of them, a whole lot. Though they are not very easy to harvest, especially in great amounts. And there are certain formations that occur more rarely than others. Like the most common one only has nubs, or yeah, you could also call them studs. That's probably the more common word, but anyway. Um, and the more spikes it has, the rarer it is. And then to look at a 5-spiked ring with a specific arrangement of spikes, that is very hard to come by.
And do they have any properties, or is it just a collectible?
They, how do I explain it? They don't have any direct magical properties. Nothing that you can immediately actively use. They can be very powerful ingredients or parts of bigger rituals.
I see. So it would only make sense to have it if you already know what you're doing.
Yes.
Okay. I'm afraid the person who needs this really does know what they are doing. All right. And about the fruits I have, just think about it because I have a couple, and maybe you want to cook some wine in the future. I would love to have a part in that share of cash, you know.
What was the question again? I was looking at a magic item. I'm very sorry.
About the cursed demon fruits, I have a couple, and as you remember, we talked about cooking some wine from those fruits. Since I have two, and I'm not sure, does it like correlate one to one fruit, one bottle, or
Um, it sadly correlates much less. It's like probably 5 fruits per bottle.
I see. Maybe I can gather
I mean,
more
at least
fruits.
if you want to have like a 1 liter bottle.
Maybe I can gather more fruits with my comrades. But
Probably not in the city anymore, but if you ever come upon them again, I would be happy to take them off you.
all right, then how about I sell these two to you?
Do you have something specific in mind in exchange?
I myself really love useful magical items and artifacts. Some knickknacks would also be appreciated, or just pure coin would also do well. Nothing specific. After I have a chain link for now, no specific items.
I
Some,
can
but I would
definitely.
like something equally as precious.
I mean, if it's just coin, I can definitely serve with that. Uh, um, no, I think that's the entire sentence. Yes.
All right, how much?
I would be willing to give you 500 each. 500 gold.
That's a hefty sum.
Yes, it is.
You
Depending
told
on your
yourself.
perspective, I guess.
Yes, and you told me yourself that those are only getting rarer and rarer.
Well, until we can find another sword somewhere.
Yeah. You know, we are having this trip to the demon realm and other among other things. I think I will hold on to them and see how much you will offer me after we come back. Unless
Didn't take you
you
for a
want
gambling
to
man, but
unless you want to, I don't know, be a step ahead of me and maybe raise the price so that I don't know, don't try and see what market will show me in the future.
give me a persuasion.
And I will guide myself. Oh, no need. Critical success, or well, almost dirty
Well,
20.
how about 750?
All right, you make let's say for the future partnership.
Yes, for the future partnership.
Converted to platinum, how much would that be?
150 in total.
All right, then I will just add 150 plat.
She gives you like 100 of that in form of just a bar and the rest in coins.
Of what?
In forms of a bar.
I see. All right. Thank you, thank you.
Pleasure doing business.
Yeah, now to the ritual around.
I see that your transaction was quite lucrative.
I mean, I exchanged potentially incredibly dangerous for society goods for something that entity in my head demanded in a nightmarish riddle. You could call this a success.
Still, 150 platinum pieces is quite some amount.
Indeed. And it's not like I'm not having any coin before that either, because I have on top of that 600 gold pieces.
Oh,
And
I'm
I'm
not judging
kinda
you.
I'm
Uh,
kinda looking into investing opportunities, you know.
Mhm.
All right, let's send this chain link where it belongs.
Just what's the deal with the chain link itself?
I I know that it's a catalyst for something bigger. On its own, it's just a very rare thing to come by, but if you know how to use it and you know what to do with it, you may be able to perform very powerful spells. That's as much as my knowledge goes.
You lost mail at magic.
Hmm, I'm not going to hold on to this link for long. I'm gonna send it and just don't ask any questions. Maybe there will be something good out of it. Because before, when I was performing my tasks well, I was awarded with powers, and that's how I became who I became.
And so you want, if I understood correctly, you want while whilst performing that ritual, you want me to see if I can figure something out about how it works, what it could entail, and things like that.
Yes,
Analyze it.
yes, because you're a man of knowledge and you study this thing. My personal strong side is geography, you know, so that's not really my sort of knowledge. I do it more intuitively, and I wanted you to try and make any sense of it so that I can know what's going on. Where am I sending this thing?
Mhm. Okay, well, in that case, before you start your ritual, Arahant will spend his one of his two first level spell slots left, and then he's only on cantrips. So he still has one level spell slot over, but he will cast um, detect magic. Should I cast detect magic or cast detect evil and good?
Uh,
I don't know.
Mm,
Let's try magic.
I mean, evil and good could be kind of funny if.
well, I,
Up to you then.
I know that the angel would immediately start to ping on me because
oh,
uh, uh, you know, if there is an aberration, celestial, elemental, fey, fiend, or undead within within 30 feet of the one who casts it,
Hmm.
and
Yeah,
all,
and
and
he's
also
also wearing so much magic items. It's like he has a drip of sorts, you know.
Yeah, I'm sure everybody in here, like in the room, has some sort of magic items on their person.
Yeah, even I have a couple. So
Well, in that case, he will cast detect evil and good, just to see if that if applicable, of course, DM, if there would be a link made between Sauron and his patron, um, if maybe he could have some feeling out of it. It also says when a place has been hallowed and sacred, or has been cursed and desecrated. So it's a
might I describe the ritual?
hmm,
Can I describe the ritual I'm performing?
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
All right, so I sit on the ground and I take out my book. I open it up on pages that, from the look of it, probably make no sense, but I like scroll through them and find the one I look for. I put the chain link on the ground and take my magic dagger and slice open my hand and draw a bit of a circle around it, putting some marks and some glyphs around this circle on infernal language. And as I do, it slowly begins to glow more and more greenish, bluish light that becomes brighter and brighter. And even though I'm drawing in infernal, I'm chanting, mumbling something in deep speech at the same time. And you see that the chain link slowly starts to sink through the floor as this circle turns into little puddle of water, deep and as if it is real. Maybe it is, but it seems like it's falling through, and at some moment you see it. Like imagine, have you seen that scene in Frodo in Lord of the Rings where the uh, ring of power was dropped in the river and it goes sinks towards towards the bottom. You see exactly that, a shiny metal ring object that sinks deeper and deeper in the murky waters as I say in just basic language. I say, I got your clues right and you may have your item.
Um. Which of the spells did you cast, Ahan? Did you do detect magic or did you do detect good and evil?
Detect good and evil.
Um. What are the creature types of detect good and evil again?
It would be. Wait a minute.
Okay. As well as
Ab-
where the creature is located.
it would be
Yeah,
aberrations.
I'm
Aberration.
already reading.
Okay.
Similar. It doesn't say that you know which of the types it is, right? It actually doesn't. It just says you know if there's one of those near you and where.
Mm-hmm.
Um, let's say that this portal or this the
But
space through which the item is brought actually lets you detect through it, then you would notice that one of those creatures is indeed on the other side of that little rift.
And which creature would it under which category would it fall?
I don't think it says that it tells you the category, does it? Maybe it does. Let's
Well,
just say it does. Because
well,
the wording is a bit weird.
well, they say I think it's meant to say that you know if it's because you sense them that you know it's an aberration, a celestial elemental, etc., etc. But you cannot say, for example, it's you can sense it's a fiend, but you cannot say it's a pit fiend, for example.
Yeah.
Or something
Then
like
you
that.
would sense an aberration.
And yeah, well, my as you can see in the thing, I thought I could project my languages, but no, it only says my language proficiency. But because of his background, his class, the knowledge cleric and the linguist feat, he is Arahant would be able to understand and read infernal and deep speech.
Since I'm acting more on intuition and calling, even though I know both of those languages, GM, you can actually tell us what I am performing exactly.
Can I tell you what you are performing exactly? I mean, like obviously, the ritual is to give some item to the creature on the other side of the rift, but like
For example, what would be the thing that would be inscribed in the infernal script, and what would have been the words spoken in deep speech? For those things, Arahant would be able to read the infernal script and comprehend the deep speech. Or is it not relevant? Is it just flavor for the spell, for the ritual?
So the thing is, I'm pretty sure it's just flavor that Barker's made up. So
Okay.
so I can't really tell you what is it.
I mean, considering how I perform my spells, it
Ah,
might be a necessary flavor so that
yeah,
it kind of triggers my sense of arcana.
yeah. I get it in that way, but how
It's
do I
not
say it?
something that explains the nature of a phenomenon. I understand.
It yeah, the infernal is mostly just related to the concepts of it's it's just your average, you know, teleportation circle stuff. Less real words, more like spell words, but all related to transportation transfiguration. While the deep speech mentions some greater particularities about mentioning the astral plane and something about moving, or it specifies the target talking about the astral plane and moving island. though it is really weird in defining what it actually moves through. Because it doesn't seem to be directly referencing the ocean.
As Arahant is analyzing all this, in deep speech, I say, I performed the task you gave me. Answer me.
So,
Talk to me finally.
there's a very funny thing about your patron. A very funny thing about your patron. It doesn't actually speak deep speech. Even though
Isn't aberration speaking?
yeah, but it doesn't really have. It's weird. It's very weird because it how do I actually describe it? That it basically only communicates telepathically. So it really doesn't speak any languages.
That's kind of cool. That's kind of cool because I do too, but I
Well,
can try and reach out with my telepathic ability so that the message is universally understandable.
yes. I think it might also just straight up be able to do some. I mean, it can probably also just use detect thoughts, at least at the minor
Yeah,
level, to just read what you said. I'm
it
assuming
can
it will just always have that active to just,
yeah, it can
digest
just smash
information.
through my mind barrier straight through. I understand that.
Well, this indeed seems to be the real deal. Then you shall be rewarded. And through your through the water, you see something floating up. You see a long metal rod. On one end of it, there's the normal pommel, while on the other hand, there's a metal. It's kinda goldish. It might be actual gold. It might be brass. Um, but anyway, it's a metal image of figurine of an octopus with its 8 arms grabbing a roughly orb-shaped white crystal. When I say roughly orb-shaped, I mean it's generally round, but it's not a perfect orb. It's more like a natural crystal.
Yeah, it's like a rugged, I understand. Like a pearl.
Yeah.
Alright, I reach towards the stuff and pull it out slowly and carefully.
It is indeed a staff. It doesn't have any immediate effects on you touching it.
I will be waiting for the future visions from you then.
Did you say you also wanted to put the antlers in there?
Yes, I wanted to add as my personal version of this being sense of humor. I add the antler from the spirit of hunger and say, "Your riddles look like you are mocking me every step of the way when I untangle them in the end." But I think I start to understand them better with time.
Well, it's only fair if I have my fun on your adventures too, isn't it?
Then I will be expecting more fun adventures in the future. I say and snap my fingers and terminate the spell.
Oh, wait, did you say you wanted to send the antlers or you did send the antlers?
I wanted to send the antler.
So you actually did do it. You didn't just say that you wanted to do it.
Yeah.
Okay. Then also a scroll floats up.
Huh. I see that you liked my version of your joke.
I do. This let's say it's uh you could say it's a contract that you may offer to others of my kind.
Oh, what does that mean?
I guess this is not basically what you see in that scroll. Um, the scroll actually bears script in deep speech, although deep speech it has a very weird script, as far as I remember. I think it's just a bunch of lines. I think Mind Flayers do some engravings with it, but
they are more imprints of lines and dots and things like that.
yeah, they
But,
don't.
but the imprints are psychic. They are psychic imprints. It's strange. It's
Is deep speech even a universal aberration language? Not really, is it? More like specific to a few. Um, then let's actually just make it a bunch of arcane runes and probably some infernal seals. Um, and you would probably need to cast Identify on it to find out what it actually does. So the infernal seals speak of binding agreements and what do you say? Some sort of punishment should it be broken.
I see.
And it also speaks of those hailing from the Astral Sea.
After the scroll is received, the contact is terminated.
Yes, it is.
I look at the items, not being able to make any sense of them at the moment, and look at Arahant, and you see that I'm utterly confused, but I also relay the words that my patron told me during the conversation because it was happening telepathically. And as I do that, I'm doing it telepathically too, just because I'm still way too shocked to, switch immediately. I do it because I used to it very much. The gifts were presented to me for doing a good job, but also this being enjoyed the fact that I started to understand it better, and it said that it kinda has its own share of fun giving me those riddles. Maybe vicariously, maybe not, but it seemed like it's it still seemed like it's a couple of steps ahead of me though.
Well,
It wasn't mentioned, but that's an impression I have.
well, and he will speak in common. He will speak directly to you. He will not use message, um, because that would be the only way Arahant would be able to uh, communicate something telepathically. So he will say, mm, he will say, well, I can, if you want, identify or try to figure out what those objects can do, if that what if you want.
I would be grateful for that. I
That
say now in common and in my own voice, a bit snapping out of it.
it would only take about 22 minutes for both of them. For I can do it on a ritualistic level.
If it
As for,
wouldn't be too much to ask,
no,
I would
no, of
appreciate it.
course not. As for the exchange, above table, as a player, um, or let's say that I suppose Arahant would recognize that it's some kind of communication, something akin like a commune or a contact another plane or something like that. So in which you entreat or talk with with another being. So that much I think he would gather. But is there a way in which he could um, filter more of those, you know, gain more knowledge on what happened? As a player, I suppose I do have an ID, but I do not want to meta game.
Um,
Based on the few things he was able to read and hear
I mean, you
being spoken aloud, and then seen the entire ritual and the exchange happening, and then afterwards the message that was communicated telepathically from Sauron to Arahant. What would Arahant be able to figure out, or what would be his analysis of all those things, of the entire ritual,
um,
and possibly something about its origin?
you can give me an Arcana check for that.
I rolled low.
Wow.
Rolled
Damn.
low. I mean, yes, you technically rolled low.
It
Um,
was only a 9 on the die, so
I mean,
You
there
have
are.
insane arcana.
and history also, because I have expertise in those two, history and arcana.
There are some very obvious uh, connections you can obviously make from the ritual, the mentioning of the floating island, the even the octopus on the staff. There, you do suspect that it might be. May I first ask you what your suspicion is?
Well, my suspicion is that um, when he had his boating accident, when his ship was destroyed and he was going down, either he drowned and some kind of I would say some kind of strange aberration, and I'm thinking something in the trend of a great old one or something like that would would use it as an opportunity to say, well, I can use him and bring him back to life, or he was about to drown, and for the same reasons, that aberration or the ancient great old one thing like being would be would just on the last moment before he would drown completely would have saved his life in exchange for servitude, and that servitude would be to gather to fetch several items, and once given those items, he would get things in uh, um, um, objects and items in return. But I do not think that. Um, but that's me as a player. Let me be clear about that. I do not think that that being would be, let's say, a kind of a. If he's a bit like Father Dagon or Mother Hydra or Kuotoa or something like that, uh, so very powerful being that could be seen god as a god, but is not really a god. Um, but that the fact that he says I will give you answers could maybe be just his way of having fun, and he has no either no idea or there are no answers to be given, but that being would have his own fun, letting believe Sauron that there are answers that he knows, he, she, it knows, and would impart him. So, and I think it's his mere his mere a plaything let from that for that being, and a means for that being to get his hands or its hands or paws or tentacles or what have you on several items, and then for his own benefit or for his own pleasure or just because it's a collector and that's it. But he does not really has any answers about. So that's my feeling about the whole thing. Is that he's only being used as a courier, if you want, a fetcher, because it was convenient that he was drowning, and maybe the being was close enough to witness that and things like that, and was just waiting on a good opportunity to find someone to 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 help him in his endeavor. But
Um, you
that's my
are.
own opinion. That's I am not
Uh,
saying that it's correct, but it's what I think. I as a player, as Lodewijk.
you might be a bit off.
Okay,
Um,
as a play, as Lodewijk.
um, I don't know if I would give you the full identity of it, but it's I'd say with a 20 in Arcana, you're pretty sure that it's not a proper great old one or anything like that. It's more like one of the powerful, but not super powerful, not
Yeah.
demigod like aberrations that exist in the astral plane. And there are a few that have that octopus shape and are associated with water.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So that's about the only thing he would be able to analyze from the ritual. Okay. Well, Arahant is pondering for a bit, for a while, and then says, "Hmm, I think your patron is, although a powerful being, is not really, let's say, on the same level as a deity, as my patron who is a deity in an in his nature and being. And I have the feeling that he would be powerful enough to be able to resurrect you the moment you drowned, or would just have saved you before definitely drowning. But you said that you were sure that you were dead. For the but consider this: maybe it's a mind game, and and it lets you believe that you died, but you didn't, and that it saved you from dying or from being dead and resurrected you so that you could act as his agent of its agent into fetching several elements, several objects.
What do you mean, not a deity?
Well, the there are many types of beings. Um, uh, there are powerful beings, but within the classification, if you want, or the hierarchy, you have beings that can be considered to be true gods, um, and with them that and within them you have several categories like greater deities, lesser deities, um, and things like that. Then you have beneath them beings that are more demigods, so not entirely divine or godly, but do have some 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 aspects of true gods, but are not true gods. And then you have beings that do have a lot of power, can be considered by most races as a kind of a deity or superpower, but are not divine in nature. For example, several archdevils and demons, and even very powerful angels, could wield incredible power and being able to lay waste to an entire civilization if they want, but they would not have. They they are not divine, not by a far stretch, or not even by a mile even.
And
So I did not get the same feeling that I have when I am communicating with the great catfish of wisdom, who is somehow too vast for me to comprehend in its totality. Whilst I didn't got that feeling from your ritual. I'm not saying that your patron is not powerful. Far from it. It's clear. It's clear that it possesses incredible power. But I do not think you would be able to classify it as a true deity on par as, for example, the great catfish of wisdom or other deities that are around.
it it makes me think what makes a powerful being a demigod and what makes a demigod a god. Like, as you are saying that, they all have insane power. It's beyond imagination, all of them. And at the same time, you talk about your god like it's something more than just raw power. Like it's something divine yet so human in nature, so somehow emotional, you know? Um, it's worth looking into, you know? The idea of a being harvesting power in exchange for boons, trying to elevate itself to a more powerful, maybe ever consuming, or maybe something different, more
It's
powerful state.
possible.
It's as my personal beliefs go, all around us is a big game, and we are merely pawns in it. And some beings play to win in a way. Well, everybody plays to win, you know. Just victory just changes shape and form, and it's good that you told me that it's not a god, though.
Not a full-fledged god, let's say it that way. Full-fledged gods are most, as far as I understand it, are created by the raw force of reality itself. Or lesser deities are created by greater deities. And maybe there is an entity that even overarches all that and is so powerful that it could alter reality on just a snap of its finger, if it his meta
I
its
mean,
metaphorical
there,
finger.
there's always a bigger fish out there, you know? Always. If you
Until
can imagine,
a certain extent. I am convinced that there is
it's
a limit.
just. I think the extent is just limited by our knowledge.
Maybe. But to answer your question, if it's a demigod-like being, it could be that part of his heritage is divine in nature, but part of it not. But I do not think it's a deity in or a full-fledged deity. Let's say it that way. With
Okay,
strong winds. I thought it was raining, but no.
okay. And about the items,
Oh yes, I will perform by ritual identify. Know that thanks to the Duke, I finally have had my pearl, so I can cast the spell. Um, So it will take per, I think, 11 minutes per object. I will start with the wand or the staff. Is it a staff or is it a wand?
It is a ward.
It's a wand. Okay.
Yeah. At least think that it's supposed. It's not really usable as a quarterstaff. It's too short for that, so it's closer to a wand. So that that thing is a modified Ward of the Pact Keeper. Let me just put that into the journal for Selwan. And probably our hunt because he identified it. And the other item is
The spell scroll.
yeah.
Or the scroll.
The scroll is an aberrant agreement. It basically compels aberrations to listen to you, and for the purposes of making a deal. And once you make such a deal, it basically attempts to hold both sides accountable to it through the use of psychic damage.
Mhm.
Should the contract be broken.
A bit like um, the gauge spell.
Yeah, but does that also? Yeah, in a way. Though the aberration actually has to agree to you, it's only forced to listen. It is not forced to sign the contract.
I listen to Arahant explaining those things, and then I look at him and I look at the items, and I shake my head and say, I have a bad feeling about this, buddy. Really bad.
I mean, you got your Ward of
Because
the Pact Keeper. You're a warlock. You should be happy now.
yeah, those are amazing. Those are really, really good. And I'm stunned by how much good I can make with them. But also, the being we talk about never gave me anything that it didn't know I would really, really need. The riddles, the small hints, the powers I have, the I have a feeling that I am being prepared for to fight something really, really strong, or at least tackle the challenges that might need me to be stronger. But it's more of an intuition, not driven by any rational thought. It's more like small piece of logic before it gave me help when I needed it, and I don't see why this time should be an exception.
Well, it did feel like it's more like that you and your patron have formed a contract some kind of an agreement.
I'm not sure I ever agreed to anything.
Maybe not willingly, or you may have forgotten it.
I mean, if you can go through my mind and try dig it up, you might, but at the moment, I can't.
I do
I
have
can't say it. I,
I
ca-
do have
I
a
can
spell
say for
to
sure.
probe
I
your
don't
mind.
know.
I do have a spell to probe your mind, but for the moment I do not have enough arcane energy left in me to be able to cast it.
Let's leave it for later because I have enough shocks. I have enough surprises for one day, and I don't really feel to like discovering more about myself right now. I just,
Of course.
to be fair, if there is some time, I would like to go buy proper clothes because, and I showed to you like the native clothes of the southern cities I come from, and it's way too light. Even even for this region where we are, and if we need to travel, I will probably need to be more prepared. So I will do a little bit of shopping. I will buy myself some proper outfit.
You do have enough coin from your other more worldly transaction. So
Yeah, and I'm not going to. No, I'm going to pamper myself a little bit, you know. And probably I will visit this place where I bought my watch and talk to the owner about some investing because I would like more people to have these odd Casio watches. I really enjoy them.
Ah, yes. The,
Yeah, and I also need to tell the owner that I named it a really cute thing. Maybe he will like it.
you're trying to invest in the store to to start a franchise.
Yes. I'm not aiming towards, as a player, I'm not aiming towards having any seizable income from this as we travel. But if my character has some sort of legacy, I would like him to be a part owner of a Casio franchise in the future.
How much money do you actually want to invest for? I'm not sure if stocks were invented yet, but what percentage of ownership for the company do you want for what amount of money?
I mean, my I want to put down 100 plat, like a solid 100 platinum. But
Oh,
but I would need to be reassured that the other party will stick to their part of agreement.
so you would want contract stating that you are now part owner?
Yes, and since the owner is aware who I am in the city, the contract, I will probably bring it to the city leaders to keep a close eye on this specific firm and its doings and etc etc, so that there is no margin for doing something sneaky. It just depends
Yes.
in which district this watch store is, and I will just go to the leader of that district, at least that
Oh,
part of town, and say like, I invested in this property on your territory, and I would like to
I
be reassured that my money will be spent where they belong.
so I feel like this wood clockmaking would kind of fall into the realm of finesmithing, roughly. I'd say, or be like related enough that it's like located near the finesmiths. Therefore, I would assume, or therefore, it will be in the church district. And you are talking to the angel who, up until now, had all those affairs managed by his bishop. Um,
Isn't his bishop dead?
yeah, that's the issue. Because all those
I
affairs
mean,
have
I
been.
mean, I mean, when you go to the bishop's bishop, you can just say, please relay this to your future appointed bishop.
I mean, yeah.
Well,
Yes,
uh,
I guess the angel would ensure that.
above a bishop, you have an archbishop in some cases, but mostly a cardinal. And then you have the papal curie and then the pope itself.
Hey, whoever is appointed by whatever the fuck god there is, please look after my business.
Um, yeah. Um, yes, the angel will offer you his guarantees that the contract shall be honored or else.
Yeah, and the store should have a Casio sign on it with a K.
Ah, yes. Yes, it will.
Yeah, and as for my clothes, you tell me how much they would cost, because I want to go to the finest place there is to buy clothes, and I want them to be fitted and made specifically for my needs and how I like them. I want
Um, they would ask. Um,
and I mean finest materials, some accessories, all the way through.
let's say they will ask for 30 pieces of gold.
All right. I'm going to buy a very nice cloak made out of canvas, something canvasy that will withstand winds and moisture and water, and will also keep me warm but not too warm. Um, a piece of warmer clothes for the case, like something like an undercoat, just for just if I ever need to wear it in winter. Very good leather boots, almost knee high, uh, and a triangle hat, like a sailor would have. Mostly, I look like a very well dressed sailor officer,
Yeah, something like a
which
captain
which
or
which
admiral.
Which I am.
So, do the others want to buy or do anything specific in preparation?
Hmm.
Ah, yes, the sound of silence. So, if you don't have any, like, big ideas, by the way, Justin, you are muted. If you don't have any ideas right now, then my idea would be that the items that the five have scrounged together, I would tell those to you right now, and then I would ask you to think about your preparations and tell them to me before the next session, if there are any. Is that, and then I would end the session. Would that be fine by you?
If you're talking to me, yes.
I was talking
Same.
to everyone in general, but I think Justin isn't there right now. I'm not sure. Please don't tell me he actually fell asleep or something. Justin? Well, this is awkward. Anyway, if he didn't notice, then I will tell him later. But just to double check, Warlocks can in general wear light armor, and Sauron isn't wearing any real armor. Is that correct?
I'm wearing a leather armor.
Okay. Then the first thing you will get is a +1 wyvern leather armor. It's basically leather armor with poison resistance. I think you can just
Alright.
use the leather armor of poison resistance and then do a +1 AC modifier or something. Or basically just use a studded leather armor of poison resistance. That's basically a +1 leather. It's like the same. That to represent that, you can just drag that onto your sheet from the book if you want.
Okay. So it's AC 12 and
Yeah, it's AC 12 and it gives poison resistance.
thanks.
Then there's an amulet of absorb elements. It has 3 charges. It recharges basically at the start of each day. You flip 2 coins. For each that comes up heads, you get a charge back. And it's the spell absorb elements. Is that upcastable?
It's for me too?
No, it's in general for the party.
Ah, I see. No, okay.
Let's say it casts it.
Well, just to say, on his spell sheet, Arahant does have the spell absorb element.
But let's say the amulet just casts it at first level because the levels only really affect the damage and not the
Yeah, indeed.
reduction. Yeah. And then we'll also do 2 potions of poison resistance. And that would be it.
Mhm. Okay, well, the amulet could go to Mel, I suppose, because Arahant would not have any use from it if it only grants the spell absorb element. Well,
It has 3 charges to cast it with, basically. But yeah.
well, if Arahant is a bit conservative with his spell slots, he can cast it many times.
Yes, that is true.
Renewable at dawn.
Renewable at dawn, you basically flip 2 coins.
Two coins.
Yep.
Hey, I have 4 spell slots.
And when you flip those coins, what do they?
Basically, if it comes up heads, you get charged back. If it comes up tails, you don't.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Is 4 slot spells a lot?
It depends on who you ask. If you ask a wizard, no,
No.
it's not. If you ask a warlock, oh man, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's 2 more than I should have at this level. So.
I mean, to be fair, the Ward of the Pact Keeper, I think we charge it on long rests, right?
What do you mean?
The Ward of the Pact Keeper, I think it's only one per long rest, so it's a bit worse than.
Same as my Pearl of Power.
Exactly, so they are a bit worse than your normal spells. Lots are a bit slower recharging, but yeah.
Yeah, I have two good spell slots and 2 daily spell slots.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's probably all for today. Then you guys can say your goodbyes and
Yes, indeed. So his spells that he can regain with the ability of the rod, he can do it only once per long rest.
exactly.
His 2 warlock spells that he has from his
Yes.
class are
They are
renewable after each short rest.
Yeah, and the Pearl of Power is also a long rest.
But indeed, for a wizard / cleric, 4 spell slots, I mean, we have a spell book and we have a deity that grants us an entire list of spells from go and choose and pick those you like.
Yeah.
I'm happy with what I have, to be fair.
That's the important part of the game. And can we have our and can we finish our our long rest, DM?
You may finish your long rest.
Yes, finally.
You actually managed to have a night's sleep.
All right.
Well, I have to say that session-wise, having played 3, maybe 4 sessions with only a very limited amount of spell slots, he and also a very limited amount of HP. Arahant did quite well.
Oh yeah, you didn't get your spell slots back since you entered the maze, didn't you?
Indeed. Nor might my portent die. So considering this, he did quite well.
So, anyways, then you may say your goodbyes. So I can shut off the stream.
Okay. Well, may I first roll for my 2 portent die?
Yes, of course.
A 12 and a 3. Oh, I will have fun with those.
Finally being able to use your class features again.
Yes. And I regain my arcane recovery and my channel divinity. Okay, but with that, um, have a nice weekend, all of you, and until next time.
Yeah,
Thanks,
take it easy,
everyone.
everybody.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Wait, I shouldn't say bye bye. Why am I so tired? I've just drank like 1.5 liters of coffee, basically. To be fair, it was like probably 3/4 decaffeinated, or not even decaffeinated. It was like grain coffee or false coffee. Yeah. Anyway, until the next one. Have a good one, everyone.